What would you think if I told you that the halo you've been polishing with such desperate piety is actually a social leash, crafted by the very people who intend to walk all over you? Today, perhaps more than ever, we are inundated with the liturgical chant of forgiveness, a psychological tax levied on the betrayed to ensure the comfort of the betrayer. You are told that letting go is the ultimate sign of strength, that a bitter heart is a heavy one, and that you must offer your neck for a second strike to prove how evolved you have become. But in the Machiavellian theater of power, this version of forgiveness is not a virtue, it is a structural failure. It is the tactical disarmament of your own boundaries. Imagine the archetypal subject of our era, a 2D animated, nice person, vibrating with the frantic energy of a lab rat trying to love its own electrified floor. They smile, they breathe, they forgive, and they wonder why the world treats them like a communal welcome mat. The truth is as sharp as a Florentine blade. A person who cannot hold a grudge is a person who cannot hold a line. In the high-stakes game of interpersonal dynamics, your memory is your only fortress. Machiavelli understood with chilling clarity that men are, by their very nature, ungrateful, fickle, and deceptive. When you forgive a breach of loyalty without a devastating price, you aren't being a saint, you are providing a subsidy for future betrayals. You are teaching the predator in your life, the toxic ex-partner, the manipulative friend, the backstabbing colleague, that their transgressions are interest-free loans. Look at the satirical comedy of your own life. How many times have you offered closure, only to realize you were just offering a second opportunity for the same person to waste your time? Your forgiveness is often just a high-status word for your cowardice, a way to avoid the terrifying responsibility of making someone pay the biological and social cost of hurting you. Consider the Carl Jung perspective on the shadow. By repressing your natural, righteous anger and dressing it as forgiveness, you are creating a psychic monster in your basement. That anger doesn't disappear, it ferments. It turns into passive aggression, into psychosomatic illness, into a lifelong resentment that leaks out of you like toxic waste. Your grudge is actually the guardian of your self-worth. It is the part of your unconscious that says, this territory is sacred, and those who desecrate it are no longer welcome. When you unleash the shadow and allow yourself to remember the injury with crystalline precision, you aren't being toxic, you are becoming formidable. You are practicing a perverted, high-order form of Stoic austerity. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress within the mind. What good is a fortress if the gates are made of wet paper and the guards are instructed to welcome every invader with a hug? Provoke yourself to look at the scene receipt that changed your life. That silence on the other end wasn't an accident, it was a decision. Why do you feel the need to free them from their guilt through forgiveness? Their guilt is the only honest thing they've ever given you. It is the natural consequence of their choices. By forgiving them, you are performing an act of psychological charity for a person who wouldn't spend a single neural firing to help you. The Machiavellian strategist knows that the ultimate revenge is not a loud, messy outburst, but the cold, absolute withdrawal of presence. To hold a grudge is to maintain a no-fly zone over your soul. It is to declare that your energy is a finite resource, and those who have defaulted on their moral debt will never be granted credit again. You aren't being bitter, you are being liquidated. You are closing the account because the customer is a fraud. Stop for a moment and observe the sheer satirical beauty of a world that fears your quiet memory. People call you petty because they are terrified of a person they cannot manipulate with a guilt trip. They need you to be forgiving so they can keep their high-resolution image of themselves intact. When you refuse to forgive, you are forcing them to look into the mirror and see the glitch in their own matrix. You are the grudge, the blank space in their contact list that carries more weight than all their other followers combined. You have achieved the ultimate strategic advantage. You have become a consequence. In a world of 2D characters running on the treadmill of external validation, you have become the wall. And the wall doesn't forgive. The wall simply stands. Imagine the comical desperation of a world that suddenly realizes your memory has become a vault rather than a sieve. In the satirical animation of our social lives, the betrayer expects a predictable cycle: the injury, the brief outburst of anger, the talk, and finally, the inevitable dissolution into the lukewarm soup of forgiveness. They rely on your goodness to reset the game board so they can play another round with your heart. But when you adopt the Machiavellian stance, you stop being a player and start becoming the terrain. You realize that a grudge is not a burning coal you hold in your hand, but a permanent, frozen boundary in your psychic landscape. You have initiated a total market crash on their expectations. While they are waiting for the "I'm over it" text, you are busy practicing the Stoic art of apatheia, the state of being undisturbed because the person who harmed you has been functionally deleted from your future reality. You must confront the provocation of your own misplaced empathy. You think you understand their trauma, their reasons, or the complexity of their betrayal. But the strategist knows that to explain is to excuse, and to excuse is to invite a repeat performance. Every time you allow a vector-animated ghost from your past to walk back into the sunlight of your attention, you are performing a radical act of self-disrespect. You are telling your own subconscious that the biological tax they levied on your peace was not high enough. Machiavelli noted that men should either be caressed or crushed. There is no middle ground for the half-hearted. By refusing to forgive, you are choosing the crushing silence. You are signaling to every social parasite and digital grifter in your orbit that your boundaries are not a negotiation. They are a law. Look at the satirical wreckage of the apology that eventually arrives in your inbox. It is a masterpiece of human narcissism, usually starting with, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I was going through a lot." It is a 2D animated puppet show designed to trick your ego into feeling superior so that you will lower the drawbridge of your inner citadel. They don't want your forgiveness, they want their own comfort. They want to stop being the villain in their own story. By denying them that absolution, you are reclaiming the power of the narrative. You are forcing them to carry the weight of their own choices. This is the birth of the monk mode of the soul. You are no longer looking for a parting shot or a dramatic confrontation. You have moved beyond the need for their reaction. You have reached the point where their existence is as relevant to your life as a misspelled word in a book you've already finished reading and tossed into the fire. There is a dark, beautiful peace in being the villain in someone else's poorly written script. Let them tell the world you are bitter or cold. Their labels are merely the sound of a key that no longer fits the lock. You have integrated your shadow to such an extent that the nice person you once were is functionally dead. In its place is a sovereign individual who understands that your time and your energy are the only currencies that truly matter. Why would you waste a single neural firing on the ritual of letting go for the sake of the person who tried to break you? Instead, you keep the lesson and discard the person. You turn the injury into obsidian armor, hard and reflective. You are no longer a node in their social network. You have become a black hole of indifference. This is the ultimate Stoic rebirth. Seneca observed that we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than reality. By holding the grudge, by refusing to participate in the liturgical dance of reconciliation, you are finally aligning your imagination with the cold reality of the world. You are realizing that you do not need their closure to be whole. You do not need their remorse to be valid. You are finding the silence of your own worth, a temple built on the ruins of your own naivety. You look at the people who devalued you, not with the fire of hate, but with the ice of absolute distance. You have moved into the shadows of your own mission, where the chatter of the ants below can no longer reach the summit of your focus. The animation of your life has leveled up from a choppy 2D cartoon to a high-definition masterpiece of self-possession. You have detached from the digital tether, the tribal guilt, and the performative empathy that once kept you small. You have looked into the dark, shook hands with the monster of your own memory, and found that it was the only thing standing between you and the total annihilation of your spirit. You are free. You are powerful. You are no longer a victim seeking a sorry, but a master of the void. You have achieved the ultimate Machiavellian victory. The world no longer happens to you. You happen to the world, and you do it with a memory that never blinks. The most terrifying thing you can do to someone who betrayed you is to become someone who doesn't even remember why they should forgive them.